Just get the break. Hold it here.
All right, we live. I'm gonna start us. I'm gonna start us out. First and foremost, let's give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to our elder apostle, Great Millstone, rule and teach well. It's the brother Kawan from Great Millstone, Johnson Branch, coming at you with another in-depth history lesson in First Maccabees, the 9th chapter. I'm here along with the brother Yazra Allah, also
Shalom.
Great Millstone, Dallas Camp.
Shalom. Shalom.
Kind. We're just gonna pick up where we left off from last week, from First Maccabees, the 8th chapter. From going into that history, we're gonna start off here in First Maccabees, the 9th chapter. You got it, guys. Whenever you're ready.
God. All right. This is I guess I can read it off here too, or it's on my phone too as well. Furthermore, when Demetrius, this is First Maccabees 9:1. Furthermore, when Demetrius heard of Nicanor and his hosts were slain in battle, he sent Bacchides and Alcimus into the land of Judea the second time, and with him the chief strength of his hosts, who went forth by the side to lead to Galgala and pitched their tents before Masaloth, which is in Arbela. And after they had won it, they slew much people. Also the first month of 150th and second year, they encamped before Jerusalem. So that's 152nd year, basically.
Mm-hmm.
From whence they removed and went into Berea with 20,000 footmen and 2,000 horsemen. Now, when Judas, mind you, keep in mind, this is talking about the Assyrians, okay? Or the Syrians, all right? It says, now when Judas had pitched his tents in Elasa and 3,000 chosen men with him, who seeing the multitude of the other army to be held so great, were sore afraid, whereupon many conveyed themselves out of the host, and so much as abode of them no more than 800 men. All right, so basically what it was, when these men came down, these 22,000 men came down, when the men that were with Judas, they saw this army, this great army, a lot of them got afraid. The bottom pretty much cowered out and kind of went their own way. So there was only left 800 men in Judas's army. All right, just to give you some understanding.
Yeah.
All right, and it says, all right, this is 9:7. And when Judas therefore saw that his host slipped away, and that the battle pressed upon him, he was sore troubled in his mind, and with much distress, for he had no more time to gather them together. Nevertheless, unto them that remained, he said, let us arise and go against our enemies, if peradventure we may be able to fight with them.
Yeah, that reminds me of the movie 300.
I was just thinking that. That's the spirit.
And what's his name?
Leonidas
and the rest of the 300 that was left over from the previous battles, when the Persians came upon them, man.
Yeah.
They didn't turn coat and run away and retreat.
Nah.
They fought into their last breath.
That's right. And just a little background history on that for those of you who don't know, the real 300, those were actually Jakes. Okay, those were not Edomites.
Mm-hmm.
So he's gonna pay to that. They were Edomites, but them were Jakes during that time.
Yeah, when we read in the previous chapters, it mentioned Lacedaemonians.
That's right.
Those were those Israelites, man. Those was those Greeks.
That's right. That's right. And if you remember, on their shields in the movie, they had that L on their shields. That's what that L stood for.
Yep.
Just so you know. All right. Going back into it. I'll start not again. But he ordered them, saying, we shall never be able to let us now rather save our lives, and hereafter we will return with our brethren and fight with them, for we are but few. Then Judas said, God forbid that I should do this thing and flee away from them. If our time be come, let us die manfully for our brethren, and let us not stain our honor. Right. And this is a part of our culture and our history. You know, a lot of brave men, right? We stood with valor, man, and great bravery. Right? We didn't back down. You know, we were warriors. Okay, unlike a lot of Jakes today, man, who've kind of lost, who pretty much lost that. Our history is a great history when you actually go into it and you have the understanding of it. You see the wonderful and incredible things that we did as a people. It's like you. So just to touch on that, because this is a great story, all right? When you go into the Maccabees, you know, and all the turmoil that we went through, a lot of Hellenization, a lot of wicked men, a lot of infighting. But again, it is great history that definitely needs to be expounded upon.
That reminds me also of you know, during the Dark Ages, that's when you know the Vikings, you know, they believed in Valhalla. So they died on the battlefield. You know, they would go up into heaven into Valhalla, and that's where they would be at peace at. You know, but you know Jake was going off, but nevertheless,
God.
you know, it goes to show you that Jake even still has some type of concept. You know, the Lord delighted in the Lord delights in bravery. You know,
God, the scripture says, "Show yourselves men, gird yourself up and show yourselves men." Right. So this was a part of our culture, and you know, just to touch on what the priest said, those Vikings were Jakes too as well. The original Vikings were Jakes. All right, just so you know, Esau lied about everything. All right. And I'll start at 10. Then Judah said, God forbid that we should do this thing and flee away from them. If our time be come, let us die manfully for our brethren, and let us not stain our honor. With the host of Bacchites removed out of their tents and stood over against them, the horsemen being divided into two troops, and the slingers and archers going before the host, they that marched in the forward were all mighty men. As for Bacchides, he was in the right wing, so that the host drew near on the two parts and sounded their trumpets. They also of Judah's side, even they sounded their trumpets also, so that the earth shook, and the noise of the armies and the battle continued from morning until night. Right, because they basically went in on that right side. Okay, when you go further down into this story, you know, and we're partly victorious, but we'll continue. Now, when Judas perceived that Bacchides and his strength of his armies were on the right side, he took with him all the hardy men who discomforted the right wing and pursued them unto the Mount Azotus. When they had left, they saw that they of the right wing were discomforted. They followed upon Judas those that were with him hard at the heels from behind, whereupon there was a sore battle, insomuch that many were slain in both parts. Judas also was killed, and the remnant fled. Jonathan and Simon took Judas, their brother, and buried him in a sepulchre of his fathers in Modin. Moreover, they bewailed him, and all Israel made great lamentations for him and mourned him for many days. So here. Yeah.
want to say how the valiant man fallen that delivered Israel.
God.
You know, ultimately Judas was a great man that Yahweh Shemashah raised up. He was a great judge in Israel, man.
Yep.
But ultimately, like the scriptures say, you know, you're gods, but you shall fall like one of the princes, man.
That's right.
You know, we still mortals. You know, we still can die.
God.
You know, Judas wasn't Yahweh, man. But he was a great man in his own right through the spirit of power Yahweh Shemashah. You know, right. The Lord did great acts through that man.
That's right.
Ultimately, one day, he had to fall in battle, man. You know?
That's right. And moreover, they bewailed him, and all Israel made great lamentations for him, and mourned many days, saying, How is the valiant man fallen that delivered Israel? Right. He was known as the Savior of Israel. All right, that's pretty much what they called him.
Yep.
Goes on to say, as for the other things concerning Judas and his wars, and the noble acts which he did, and the greatness, and there are not written, for there were very many. So just going to show you, man, there were things that weren't even written on paper that this man did. All right, just backing up what the priest said. This is a great man who did really many great things, and with our people, man, because the Lord was working with him. All right. Now here we're getting into the exploits of Jonathan. All right, and as we go farther into here, but just so you get some understanding here. It's 23. Now, after the death of Judas, the wicked men began to put forth their heads in all the coasts of Israel, and there arose up all such as wrought iniquity. In those days also where there were a very great famine, and by reason whereof the country revolted and went with them. The Bacchites chose the wicked men and made them lords over the country. And they made inquiry and searched for Judas's friends and brought them to Bacchites, who took vengeance upon them and used them despitefully. So when there was a great affliction in Israel, the like whereas has not been since the time of the prophets was not seen amongst them. For this cause all Judas and his friends came together and said unto them, Jonathan, since thy brother Judas died, we have no man like him to go forth against our enemies, but Bacchides and against them of our nation that are adversaries to us. It's like I want to grab something here really quick here. What was that?
Yeah, that reminds me of Judges.
Yeah.
If Lord will raise up a judge of Israel to be saved for a time.
Mm-hmm.
In Israel, once that judge died, Israel will backslide and then go back into captivity. And our enemies, which are the heathen, they end up taking hold of us again, man.
Right.
It's the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Right. And that's the big theme within the scriptures, man. Like when the Lord ain't dealing with us for a particular period of time, however long or however short it may be, we're gonna get overcome.
Yep. Yep. There's plenty of accounts with that, and you have to understand a lot of these wicked men, because this was also during the Hellenization period. All right, because Alexander the Great, when he came about, he basically tried to Hellenize the whole world. He sent people all up through all of Middle East during that time where they were, teaching philosophies and language and all these different things. So this was during that time of the Hellenization period. Okay, also, so a lot of these Jakes that they're talking about were Hellenized Jakes during this time.
Yep.
All right, it goes on to say here, where's that? Where was that?
Aren't you looking for a precept?
No, I was looking for where I was at. I left off at
29.
29, the water. For this cause Judas and his friends came together and said unto Jonathan, since thy brother Judas died, we have no man like him to go forth against our enemies, and Bacchides and against them, and of our nation that are adversaries to us. Now therefore we have chosen thee this day to be our prince and captain in his stead, that thou mayest fight our battles. Upon this Jonathan took the government upon him, and at that time rose up instead of his brother Judas. When Bacchides got knowledge thereof, he sought to slay him. Then Jonathan and Simon his brother and all them that are with him, perceiving that, fled into the wilderness of Theocor, and pitched their tents by the waters of the pool of Ashphar. Which when Bacchides understood it, he came near to Jordan with all his host upon the Sabbath day.
Huh.
Now you see how slick that was.
The nigga knew it was a Sabbath day.
Yeah, and they said nothing new, all right, because this is what they did before. This is a day where we did no work, nothing. But see, this was just how conniving, how wicked these people were. They knew our laws. They knew, our customs and our traditions. So what better time to fight against Israel on a day when we're not supposed to be doing it? You see, just to go in iniquities and transgressions. All right, no new thing under the sun.
Mhm.
35. Then Jonathan had sent his brother John, a captain of the people, to pray his friends that the Nabathites that were might have that they might leave with them their carriage, which was much. But the children of Jambri came out of Medaba and took John and all that he had and went their way with it. After this came word to Jonathan and Simon his brother that the children of Jambri made a great marriage, and they're bringing the bride of Nadabathah with a great train, as being the daughter of one of the great princes of Canaan. Therefore they remembered John, their brother, and went up and hid themselves under the covert of the mountains, where they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, there was much ado and great carriages. And the bridegroom came forth, and his friends and brethren to meet him with drums and instruments of music and many weapons. Salakia. Thus was the marriage turned into mourning, and the noise of their melody into lamentations. So when they had avenged fully the blood of their brother, they turned again to the marsh of Jordan. Now when Bacchides heard of this, he came on the Sabbath day unto the brinks of Jordan with great power. Then Jonathan said to his company, let us go up now and fight for our lives, for it standeth not with us today as in time past. So this is the wicked. All right, he's coming up to fight us on a day that he knows that we, rightfully speaking, shouldn't be fighting. All right, shouldn't be doing any work, any labor, and whatsoever. All right, but again, this is just hey, this is history. All right. 45. For behold, the battle is before us and behind us, and the waters of Jordan on this side and that side, and the marsh likewise, and the wood, neither is there place for us to turn aside. Wherefore cry ye now unto heaven, that ye may be delivered from the hand of our enemies. Right. So, Slacky, let me just grab a precept here real quick. What was that? Let me find it real quick. And this is every time when we would be in a situation, what was that? I think it's Sirach 2 and 10. Yeah, Khan. Look at the generations of old and see did any ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded, or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whoever did he despise that called upon him? All right. So again, this is the Lord dealing with us. Okay. Each and every time that we're in a situation, we called upon the Lord, in righteousness, or the Lord set up a righteous leader for us or people for us, he would always deliver us. Okay, so that was always a known thing whenever we would come to times of perilous times where our back was against the wall. In this case, we had water on each side of us. We were kind of entrapped in. All right, so the first thing we thought to do was to call on our Lord, to call on our power. All right.
Yep. Yeah, but Shemashah wants his people to always lean on him.
That's right.
That's why when we were put in this last captivity, everything was taken from us from a heritage standpoint.
Yep.
That where there's no physical temple.
Yep.
All right. We weren't born knowing that we Israelites. None of those things. Okay. Everything is strictly based off faith and belief in Yahweh Shemashah. Because when the Lord came as himself as Yahweh in the Roman Empire, Jake was high and mighty off of what we're reading, off the history what we're reading right now.
Yep. Yeah. Jake held office. He was appointed in a lot of different offices. All right. He held different hierarchy positions. So yeah, Jake was doing his thing. But of course, again, this was during the Hellenization period too. Also, Jake was being very wicked.
Yep. Because when me, myself, and Rock and Malak last week, when we read the 8th chapter, about the middle to the end of the chapter, it talks about the pacts that Judas was making with the Roman Empire.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's where the whole scribes and Pharisees, that's where all that eventually came out of.
That's
This is
right.
that history. So Jake held that up as on a high standard. So when Yahushua came as himself, they was offended at what he was saying, man.
God.
Because why? Because off the history that Israel had to get back to the state that they were in the Roman Empire. They feel like they had got that at that point in time. They feel like they got this shit all by themselves,
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was the grace and mercy of Yahweh Shem Shai, man. So when Yahweh came on the scene, they act like, oh nah, he can't come here and mess up our situation with the Romans. We gonna lose everything. Fuck the Romans, man. Fuck these Edomites.
Yep.
You know, what
Right.
about the power that gave you that gave you those offices under these heathen, man?
God.
That kept you established as a nation even under the heathen, man.
God.
Your own power is before your face.
God.
And you gonna treat your own power like that because he in the same flesh as you?
And that's Jake today, though.
Yeah.
That's Jake today. Same thing. Not having an understanding of our everything that was given to us, the position that we're in right now, positions that the nations are in right now, Esau's in right now. Everything has been set up by Yahweh Shah, man. Your power did all this, man. So wouldn't it behoove or make sense to you that to pull away from all this and just go back to your power, the one who set everything up, well, he will bring favor and bring righteousness onto you? This is why this last captivity, like the prince, like the priest said, is heavy because we don't have a temple, we don't have a culture, we don't have a language, we didn't have nothing. All right, and this was by far the worst captivity of all the captivities we've been in. All right, because we have absolutely nothing. All right, so through the strength and power and grace power, Yahweh Shem Shah sending us this comforter, this truth, through our elders, starting with the head apostles on down, we're able to find a pathway back to him, back to our power. We're calling on the name again, right? I just wanted to read this really quick. This was during the just to give you some insight, we were talking about. It says, when Judea was under Ptolemaic rule, a large Jewish settlement flourished in Alexandria, a center known not only for its literature and learning, but also for its commerce and trade. It was around this time that the Jewish law was translated right into the Greek, the benefits of Jews who are no longer familiar with Hebrews, with the Hebrews, and who will become later as it was a Septuagint, I believe that was. Along with this, new influences came with a new class among the Jewish citizenry. Successful businessmen, adept at trading with outsiders, sons of influential Jews were given positions in Egypt. Some were even designated as tax collectors with Ptolemies, and as the roles of these men grew of importance, the corresponding role of the high priest diminished. And these families grew more and more successful in their own right, and the families of the high priest lost their power and influence. See? So as Jake started to get put up in the world, on this carnal level, we started to move farther and farther away from Yahweh Shah, man. All right, and that's nothing new because we see that happening on a major level in the times we're living in right now with all these athletes and celebrities and and all these big names, and these millionaires and billionaires. These are Jakes. All right. And what are they doing? They pushing that vibration to still be under this hegemony, to still keep this wicked ass kingdom going, to still be a part of this world, as opposed to pushing the true power, man. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Get back into it here. All right, this is a 9:47. With that, they joined battle, and Jonathan stretched forth his hand to smite Bacchides, but he turned back from him. When Jonathan and they that were with him leaped into Jordan and swam over unto the other banks, howbeit that the others passed not over Jordan unto them. So there were slain of Bacchides besides that day about 1,000 men. So what happened? They called upon the Lord, and what did the Lord do? He put in work for them. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, returned Bacchides to Jerusalem, and repaired the strong cities of Judea and the fort Slakia, the fort in Jericho, in Manus and Bethadron and Bethel and Tamath and Tamathna and what is that? Tamathnatha, uh, Patharitoni and Talphon. These did he strengthen with the high walls and gates and with bars. And in them he set garrisons that they might work with malice upon Israel. He fortified also the city, Bethura and Gazara, and the tower, and put forces in them and provisions of victuals. Besides, he took the chief men's sons in the country of their hostage and put them into the tower of Jerusalem to be kept. Moreover, in the 153rd year, in the second month, Alcim commanded that the wall of the inner court of the sanctuary should be pulled down, and he pulled down also the works of the prophets.
Ransacking the temple.
Yep. Nothing new under the sun. And as he began to pull down, even at the time was Alcimus plagued and his enterprise hindered, for his mouth was stopped and he was taken with palsy, so that he could no more speak anything nor give order concerning his house.
The Lord plagued his ass.
God, Lord put plagues on his ass like that, like it was nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me open this back up so I can close up here quick. So yeah, the Lord dealt with him. He put plagues on his ass just that quick, right? All right. 56, 9 and 56. So Alcium died at the time with a great torment. Now when Bacchus saw that Alchemist was dead, he returned to the king, whereupon the land of Judea was in rest 2 years. Then all the ungodly men held a council, saying, Behold, Jonathan and his company are at ease, and dwell without care, nor therefore we will bring Bacchides hither. Who shall take them all in one night? So they went and consulted with him. Then removed he and came with a great host, and sent letters privily to the adherents of Judea, that they should take Jonathan and those that are with him, howbeit they could not, because their counsel was known unto them.
You had wicked ass niggas still in Judea.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And that's the same case to today. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of wicked niggas that know they Israelites, man.
Yeah, man. God. Wherefore they took of the men of the country that were authors of the mischief about 50 persons, and slew them. See?
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, Jonathan and Simon and they that were with him got them away to Bethbassi, which is in the wilderness, and they repaired the decays thereof, and made it strong. Which thing when Bacchides knew, he gathered together all the hosts and sent word unto them that were in Judea. Then when he had laid siege against Bethbassi, and they fought against it a long season, and made engines of war. But Jonathan left his brother Simon in the city, and went forth himself into a country, and with a certain number went he forth. And he smote Adonarchis and his brother and the children of Fasheron in their tent. And then he began to smite them, and came with his forces. Simon and his company went out of the city and burned up the engines of war.
He smote him in his tent. That's guerrilla warfare.
God, right? In his tent.
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be doing anything in that tent, laying with his woman, sleeping, drinking, whatever. He got killed in that tent.
Yep. And when he began to smite them, he came with his forces, and Simon and his company went out of the city and burned up the engines of war, and fought against Bacchus, who was discomfited by them, and they afflicted him sore. For his counsel travail was for his counsel and travail was in vain. Right. Wherefore he was very wroth at the wicked men that gave him counsel to come into the country, insomuch he slew many of them, and proposed to return into his own country.
Hey, when it speaks of wicked men, that's talking about wicked ass Israelites. Okay.
Yep.
So the ones that was the wicked ass Israelites that gave him that information, he ended up killing anyway. You know what I'm saying? The Lord ended up getting them wicked niggas back by the one that they claimed allegiance to, which was the heathen.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And who do you think that made him those men give him that advice, that counsel? It was the Lord, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day. All right, so it was a 2-for-1, basically.
Yep.
You know, they was gonna get smoked, but he was also setting Bacchus up, Bacchides up. See,
Mm-hmm.
goes on to say here in 70. Wherefore, when Jonathan had knowledge, he sent ambassadors unto him to the end that he should make peace with him and deliver them prisoners. Which thing he accepted and did according to his demands, and swear unto them that he would never do him harm all the days of his life.
Hell nah.
It's crazy, right?
Nigga lie.
When therefore he had restored unto him the prisoners that he had taken afterward out of the land of Judea, he returned and went his way into his own land, and neither came he any more into their borders. Thus the sword ceased from Israel, but Jonathan dwelt in Maccabees and began to govern the people, and he destroyed the ungodly men out of Israel.
Hey, you went around Israel.
Yep.
Saw it with candlesticks.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? As the scriptures say. You know, he put the light to them to see what they was really about.
Yep.
And he destroyed them wicked niggas as they should have been. Because they was the one causing that mischief, who was giving out information about the whereabouts and how things were moving in Israel.
Yep.
You know, and telling the enemy forces when to come, how to come, and face Jonathan and his army, man.
Yep.
If Jonathan would have let them wicked niggas be, you know, eventually Jonathan would have got caught up and killed in battle, man. Along with the rest of his men.
Sure enough, these are wicked jakes, man, who basically committing treason against the nation.
Yep.
And you know, and who else was in the same stead who was putting Jake to death? Judas, Matthias. Okay, these are great men that the Lord set up, man. That all throughout during this time period, there was always a wicked portion of our people that had to be put to death, man, because they were traitors. You know, they committed treason, like the priest said. You know, giving wicked advice. All right, being bought out. All right, as Scripture says, the gift destroyeth the heart. Right. So this is happening all throughout our history. All right, and that's why I said reading the book of Maccabees. So I'm glad we're going into this because it gives you a lot of background history that the schools aren't going to teach, man. Okay, that you never know if the Lord didn't set his men up here to give us our true history, not history that we read and we learn about in classrooms and shit. Fuck that bullshit. We're talking about our history, man. All right, and when we were ruling, okay, when the Lord was dealing with us and all the trials and tribulations we went through, but all this was for our learning. So the Lord shows a track record on how He dealt with us. When we were together with Him, He rose us up. When we departed from Him, we fell. Okay, mm-hmm. He got silent with us at times. He raised up certain men. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful track record when you go into the history and you have an understanding of it. That's why I say Judas, Matthias, you know, Jonathan, these were great men within our history, man, that stood for righteousness, man, in the midst of turmoil, in the midst of wicked jakes round about.
Yep.
See?
This is why the scribes and Pharisees had a disdain with Jake that was born up in heathenistic customs.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
They saw them as traitors, as no people.
Yep. And them same spirits are back here today, man.
Mm-hmm.
On that same shit, and they're really gonna be made manifest once this thing starts to get pushed, further down, which we're headed to. When Jacob's trouble and the MOTB and all that, you're gonna see a lot of these niggas out here trying to push Jake, giving Jake wicked advice and counsel, man. All right, to get along with go along with the get along here in Babylon, man, which is gonna ultimately get them destroyed.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, this is like I said, hey man, I'm glad we're going into this. Like I said, this is really important history that we need to know. And just that you ponder on it. You need read and have an understanding. We have a great we have the greatest history on the planet, y'all. Greatest history on the planet that's never been told outside of these scriptures, man, and that's been on purpose. All right, and it should give you some pride. It should give you some understanding. It should give you some love. On who you are, who first and foremost, who Yahweh Shai is, and that our power has always been for us. He's never been for no other nation, man. Never, always for us. All right, and Malachi 3:6, I am the Lord, I change not. He does not change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. So he was always with us. He's with us now. He's gonna always be for us. Period.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know if you have any other precepts you wanted to add, brother. Anything else you wanted to add to it?
That was it right there.
Hey, your power. Hey, we pray this lesson was edifying unto the sheep, unto the Akim, and a few Aqua that tune in. We want to say, giving all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Once again, double honors and salutations to the elders, apostles, great millstone, who taught us this truth. Kwam Yasharala. Shalom.
Shalom.